Indonesia is maybe just only some of you know that we are number 2 in terms of Facebook account, and 95% of the account is accessed by the mobile, which is mobile means that easily moving from one to another place. It's a devices that can access through the internet. So the situation in Indonesia as an archipelago with 80,000 islands, the access is a big question. Accessibility is a big question. Fortunately, recently our internet development has covered the whole country. So this make a new era of mobility. And everybody seems like very aggressive in the accessing the internet through these mobile devices. So related on this basic, the mobile technology nowadays also supporting all of the access from the users, and the key issue, of course, is the user interface that has been easier and easier. So people like using the iPad and Android devices seems like they are not using a computer devices, but they're using just a devices to access the global knowledge of the internet. So I think this would be a small answer for the mobility access devices.
So for you, when you're talking about exchange services on mobile devices, are we actually talking about people executing trades? Are we talking about people just looking at data and keeping an eye on their trades? And is allowing mobile services for exchanges changing the demographic of your members?
Okay. Of course, this thing is come into the stages. First of all, people access, for example, doing the online trading through the desktop, to the PC, whether in office or in the house. And secondly, people try to do that through the laptop, notebook, and now come the notebook getting smaller and smaller, and finally the keyboard is disappear, come to the iPad and Android devices. So in related to using that as a trading devices, a few years ago, the last 2 years, people are still afraid to use the like iPad to commit a transaction because there is a higher risk compared to the laptop or notebook to commence the transaction. But nowadays, after people try to say monitor the prices through the handphone, BlackBerry, iPhone, and Nokia-based devices, people seems like, okay, it is the time now. The price streaming seems to be smoothly go through the devices. Some smart application also alerting the user that, okay, it's time for you to buy, or for example, like setting a price target. Okay, this is the time to buy, so please call your dealer. But sometimes...
so that's the critical thing there. So you aren't opening up the exchange to the retail market. The retail market is still going through the broker, but the exchange is providing a service back to the retail and the man on the street by providing these mobile services, particularly around data. Is that right?
Basically, that's the stages before today. Recently, some of the broker, practically we have 120 broker around, which 70 of them is providing online trading. Maybe around 20% of them is also providing the access through mobile trading. So 70% is online, and 20% of this 70%, like maybe 20 25 broker already provided mobile for commence the transaction. So people is getting more comfortable and more confidence to doing the transaction through this mobile. And of course, most of them are using the larger screen rather than the small screen of the iPhone or the BlackBerry. But most of them is using like iPad or at least the 7-inch, like Galaxy 7s or Galaxy 10-inch, something like that. So the time is starting to coming now that people tends to shift the trading behavior from the laptop-based, PC-based into the mobile-based devices.
And from the Indonesian Stock Exchange point of view, have you had to adapt your architecture? Have you had to adapt, some of your servers, in terms of worries about data transfer, since helping your members with this mobile service?
Yes, the successful of the online trading is, of course, has to be supported by the strong technologies. So in our case, our matching engine connect to our members using the gateway, what we call it the client and server gateway. So in our case, we talk to our members. Maybe it's also a good information that as a mutual exchange, we only open a service through the members. So members access to the exchange matching engine is through the client in their side, and this is standardized all over the 120 brokers is access to the standardized gateway. So everybody talk with the same language. We are applying the fixed protocol, of course, and behind that, capacity is another issue. So like when we are first time applying the new generation of Xtreme, we has been 3 months after that. So the first time capacity is 250,000 trade and 500,000 order. But nowadays we try to 3 months after we first implementation of the Xtreme, we has been doubled the capacity, and now we are going to multiply it by 5 times of the capacity. So nowadays our capacity is 5 million order and to 2.5 million trade. So this is you can see the last 5 years the number of order has been multiplication by almost 6 times. And it's going to be growth exponentially because of, as I mentioned before, the last 3 years, the internet technology has been reached every level of the user, which is the population of Indonesia. Then capacity and availability is the key success factor for this mobility. And of course, not to forget is the support from the telco company that providing the access to the internet, especially on the mobility. Without them, I don't see that it can be a successful online trading.
So just before we invite Tahir up to the stage, Adikin, there are many exchanges in the audience here who haven't currently got mobile services. You've seen mobile services as a way to drive volume and liquidity and growth for your market. You talked there about lessons learned about capacity. Are there any mistakes that you've made that you wouldn't mind sharing with the audience, so that for those exchanges here who are thinking about providing new mobile services for their region, what lessons could be learnt?
Yeah, I think that's a very good question, Alex. I would like to share at the first stage of mobility in Indonesia. As I mentioned before, that the internet access to cover all over the country is very important. So some of a very small broker introduce online at the very first stages, and we don't see any any progress of the implementation, because first of all, internet is still very expensive. Secondly, the mobile device is also very expensive. Yeah, you can see that at the very first stages, handphone is very expensive, and then mobile device is also very expensive. But not now. Seems like the mobility devices is very affordable now, and the readiness of the user to using that mobility device to access the internet, to commensurate, to do the internet banking is more and more comfortable. So the timing is very important. Means that the user is on the comfort zone to using the mobile devices to do the transaction. You can easily see whether the access to the internet banking has been more than enough. Then that's the time that mobility is ready for the online trading to do the stock, bond, and even fund and some other securities products.
So your advice is have a look what's happening in
Yes.
the mobile banking services.
Correct.
If that segment and sector is really taking off, it's a signal that you and your market are ready for mobile services for
Exactly.
exchanges.
Exactly.
Well, we're going to invite Tahir up to the floor. Tahir, even see, I put my teeth back in again. Tahir is head of IT for the Sarajevo Stock Exchange. I know Tahir, having had a conversation with him earlier on today, is very keen to have a very technical conversation and a debate with the whole of the room. You know, Tahir is very well known in the exchange market, particularly for the programming of the electronic trading system of the exchange, for developing new products and services, particularly in conjunction with the Federation of Bosnia and Herzegovina. You're a specialist, I understand, in neural networks and their use of universal learning, and particularly around modules around low latency processing of fixed messages. So with all of that expertise around neural programming, I think we're going to have a lively discussion for the rest of the panel. So just before we start to hear, for you, is the definition of mobile the same as it was for Adikin, and what stage is mobile in Sarajevo?
First of all, thank you. First of all, thank you for detailed introduction. It's such a pleasure to be here today. The Bosnia and Herzegovina is completely covered by a mobile signal, including a 3G and 4G signal, which gives the possibility for mobile clients to use the broadband connections and also the mobile connections to the internet. So in that matter, I don't think that this topic needs some other conclusions or considerations.
So the technology is there 100%.
Technology is there, absolutely.
And then in terms of take-up, Adikin said one of the signals for the Indonesian market was really around the take-up of mobile in mobile banking. Was that the same in Sarajevo?
Yes, of course. Just because there is a technological improvement every year at the market. The banks also and other financial organizations are always pushing their services through the mobile channels. Actually, mobile applications enable millions of users to be more productive and to interact with our world in a way than ever before. No matter where you are you on a meeting or theater, you can react on time, which is crucial for critical time businesses like being on the market. Information in time is crucial, but as the main topic of this session is the question how feasible is to move the full range of exchange services to the mobile. My opinion right now is that the only portion of the services can be moved away from the exchange. Just because there are some technological issues that needs to be considered when we speak about it.
So for you, which portion and what are the solutions for that portion, and what do we need to solve as an industry for the other portion?
When we speak about mobile application development, we have to choose whether we want to develop a client application itself or just to do a presentation framework for mobile device. There are also advantages and disadvantages of using both approaches. But when you choose to develop just a client application that's being installed on the device, you are facing to a number of concerns, such as it should support a number of devices of mobile operating systems, such as iOS, Android, Symbian, or some other platform that might come to the market. There is also need to support those devices, and also as devices are being introduced in the market too fast, and also there are also almost every day new versions of mobile operating systems, there is a concern of the cost of the support of such an application. On the other hand, we can choose, I forgot to mention, there is also a need to develop a messaging standard between the client and the host, whether it be perhaps mobile fixed protocol or some other exchange protocol. It's also the question. And on the other hand, the other approach would be to...
Have you spoken to the fixed committee about mobile fix then?
There's already a mobile fix version. I've seen a number of ported open fix implementations for the mobile devices, especially for Windows Mobile, Android. For iOS, I haven't seen any yet. But on the other hand, there is another approach of pushing the data to the mobile and to interact with the client, and that's called the presentation framework, or using the web technology. So that's what we have accomplished in the previous year. We have developed a mobile application which facilitates the exchange's data. Right now it's only data vending side. No order can be executed by a client directly. They can do through the brokerage houses, but directly to the exchange it's not possible. The advantage of using an approach of using the presentation framework is just because we have made the application that actually lies on the server side, using ASP.NET and an open source framework, which is actually Sencha XGS, the fastest growing open source network for presentation. This kind of framework is able to push the charting data, real-time data, everything in an synchronous way. So our application acts like a true mobile application. The users can't see the difference, but from the perspective of support, we see that as an advantage. Also, there's concern regarding intellectual property. For example, as you may know, the applications that are being developed in Microsoft.NET and Java especially are easily being decompiled using the reflections. So there is also of concern whether you want to use the high-level languages to develop such applications just to achieve a lower development time. But on the other hand, you will suffer from a possible abuse of your intellectual property, such as decompiling such application on a client device. So, in my opinion, the best approach would be to use a presentation framework for developing applications for mobile devices, as it can be done in such an easy way, let's say 2 or 3 months. And to avoid other issues such as possible mobile fixed client, etc. The other thing that also concerns me regarding the move of full range of exchange services to the mobile client is also a possible identity spoofing. How to make a solution that you can actually prove that someone else is executing a particular order.
I can see Adikin nodding with you, so I think he'll have something to say in a moment, and no doubt on our hacking and security panel, which follows, there'll be something to. But I think it's really good for you to kick off, because I think, you know, security and identity theft is obviously, you know, something that's top of people's minds. So Adikin, you were nodding. I just saw there, and then Tahir, you can.
Yeah, Tahir is far away from now what we should do against this security issue. But on our case, that as an exchange, we're facing a regulation issue as well, that to approve of one regulation by our SEC is the need 1 or 2 years at least. So what we can do is we come out with the guidance to the online and DMA through all of the member, and all of the member has to be compliant through that guideline. This guideline is of course based on many references that also not only cover the business issue, but also cover the technology issue, to at least give us a minimum standard to the online and mobile trading provider, so that they can have a guideline to refer to. So in our case, maybe I can share a little bit is regarding the mobile technology that applied by the members. Most of them is of course based on the web base, but some of them already using the Java programming. As we know that Java programming is at the moment is the most efficient programming language, and it open source
so
as well.
You're talking about Java being efficient there. When Tahir was talking about Java a moment ago, he was talking about the fact that it's easily malleable, and that, you know, there's a possibility of attack. Is that what you're about to say, or are you saying that the efficiency is the most important thing?
Yeah, at the moment the issue is how to access the server efficiently. Means that we do not need a very high-end devices, because we know that most of the mobile devices have a limitation in terms of processor, in terms of the memory, and so on and so forth. So the key point is of course the application that can deliver the messaging with of course with protected security. Usually they applying the SSL security. And I also want to comment regarding the Tahir mentioned before is how we know that the people commencing the order is the people is authorized, right? So in our case, a lot of people are already implementing the token. The token, not only we have to buy the physical token, we can use the software token, for example, like in a handphone. So we send a request, and then the PIN number will be sent to your handphone, and we key in the security ID, then you're ready to trade. That's first level security. Another level of security in our guideline, that is not allowed to transfer in and out of the securities account by third party. So it has to be go through that particular client account to the security account, and also when withdraw, has to be withdraw to that client account. So if somebody control that account, it's useless for him. He only can trade, but no way that he can pull out the money from those accounts. This is also another second level security.
So you've put 2 layers of security in there, and one of those is around the economics and separating out the trading from actually the settlement.
I just want to be more precise when we speak about the authentication mechanisms. Actually, there are 3 known types of authentication. The first one is knowledge, like password. The second one would be possession, like token, like smart card, like one-time password device. And the third one would be biometrics, like your fingerprint, like eye scanning device. That's biometrics. The best combination would be to use 2 or 3 or more authentication mechanisms to achieve better security. In my opinion, and it is widely used, is to combine the possession and knowledge. So you have a token, for example, or private public key infrastructure with certificates and password or PIN for a particular certificate. On the other hand, after the authentication has been performed, there's also the authorization, which also needs some consideration. The authorization is a process of giving the level of possibilities that can user perform on a particular system. And the third thing would be how to make a secure tunnel between client and hosts. But this is more or less easily being solved using appropriate SSL techniques or VPN.
So Tahir, you talked there about 3 things and 3 layers in terms of security. Do you encompass all 3 of them at the Sarajevo Stock Exchange? Use 1 of them, 2 of them, or does that come back to where you said you offer a portion of the services as part of the exchange mobile service and not all of it, and then the other part might be something that we still need to solve?
The more of the approaches we are using at the same time, the system is more secured, of course. But when we speak about mobile devices, we have to stick to the ones that are more feasible to use by the user on a mobile device. So particularly, for example, we are using private public key infrastructure with certificates for identity verification of the client regarding mobile device, and that certificate is also being used as for encrypting the synchronous key, which then is being used after the VPN tunnel has been established during the handshake process.
So we talked there about segregation, that we're offering some services but not other services. What do we need to solve from a technological point of view to be able to get a full set of services on mobile?
I'm not sure at all that wireless connections are suitable for it, to have a low latency or the execution. So for time being, in my opinion, it will wait some time. But for the data dissemination, it's already been using, and it's very successful. Especially, for example, almost 50% of our turnover fall on retail and part-time investors. Perhaps the professionals won't find this mobile approach as a huge boom on the market, but to say it again, definitely retail investors and part-time investors are hungry for this approach, definitely.
And of those 50% of retail, or what percentage of your market is currently using the mobile services? We heard from the Indonesian Stock Exchange that 20% of the 20% of the 70% online brokers are mobile.
We have 13 brokerage houses that are active on the market, and all of them are providing to their clients electronic trading solutions as well as mobile services. I really don't know the exact data, but I presume that also around 50% of the number of total clients from brokerage houses.
From the audience, it'd be great to see, hands up if you're involved in an exchange or run an exchange. Does your exchange offer mobile services today? So we've got, is it a question or is it that you do? Oh, right, okay.
Thanks again. My name is Vladimir Kulyanchik, Arca Technologies. My question not about technology, but about client relations of exchanges and story of mobile application. I just look in App Store and found several trading application for iPad on Indonesia market of different, I think, brokerage houses. And from my point of view, you are in some competition with your members in this story. And your member can provide not only trading access to your exchange, but also some additional services through such application. For example, analytic reports and some other services, or brokerage reports and so on. But when retail client looking in App Store and see that they can get application directly from exchange and for some broker, of course, private investor will think that the best way is to get application from exchange because it's more closer to the market and more maybe security and so on. What do you think about this potential conflict of interest with your members?
So are you saying that is there going to be a disintermediation of the market as we get much more mobile services and what that will mean to your members and ultimately their clients?
Yeah, maybe I want to make a small comment regarding the questions. Practically, what the exchange regulated is on the access from the members to exchanges. What is behind that is we set and guideline. So as you can see, there is many application or startup in the App Store or BlackBerry world that's come from many of our broker. So as I mentioned before, it's much more regarding of an exchange also providing what we call it a virtual trading, online virtual trading that can be accessed up to this level is only from a laptop. Laptop also consider mobile. You can easily move from one to another places, and of course through the internet access. And that's on the virtual trading. But on the member side, you can see on the App Store and the application world that the broker is providing as a service to their client. So it could be different feature one to another. The feature what I want to mention is the most important is how the user can easily access the application, easily monitor their pricing, easily monitoring their position, and of course the most important is the availability and stability. When they send the order, how many percent of the order has been acknowledged by the server. So that is the key point. So recently, not only a foreign player that participated in the online trading in Indonesia, some of the local players also have a very strong online team that providing the technology solution for this mobility trading. It really depends on the readiness of the user. So that's the signal that we see that last time when the ATM, automatic teller machine, when introduced to the market, nobody dared to use that for the first time, right? Mm-hmm. But 2-3 years after that, then people try to use it. Nowadays, if you go to the bank counter and withdraw money, the bank will apply you a charge. So go to the ATM and withdraw money. Don't go to my counter. You go to my counter when you want to do something else, but not withdrawing money. So nowadays also a few of them also offering that the ATM, the automatic teller machine that can deposit the money. So this is the signal that actually the behavior of the user is the most important thing. So as a regulator and facilitator, what we can do is to do a socialization and education, because the best protection is education. So without that, I believe a lot of fraud could be happen.
So do you think, just following on from the gentleman's question, that if there is a drive from the mobile consumer to go to the exchange website, but the exchange website and exchange services are around data but not around execution, mm-hmm. that you will start to see a tie-up between exchange websites and your members' websites that are offering online services, and there won't be that disintermediation, but in fact actually there'll be a closer collaboration between your members who are offering online services and the exchange themselves. Tahir?
Precisely, I can completely agree on that. Just because we are not offering this service directly to the clients. we are helping our members to improve their technology. We made it for the members. And the application itself is branded by members' logo, not the exchange's logo. So that's the difference. And the only approach also due to regulation that the client itself cannot be present directly on the market, but through the broker.
I think the gentleman in the front has got some questions. If you could just say your name and where you're from, that would be great.
Yeah, Morten Lindemann from in front. No questions really, I just have some experience in this field. In Scandinavia, people has been using technology, and they are pretty, as in Asia as well, they are really trustful when it comes to technology. We've seen a push from the pros actually when it comes to pads, when it comes to mobile services. So they will actually not enter orders, but monitor their orders and be able to withdraw them. For instance, if they place orders on the US market, they would like to monitor them at the evening at home and be able to withdraw them from the marketplace. To all the exchanges, I say, leave this alone. You can't be better than vendors. No way in hell. Because we are doing this for a lot of the brokers, for a lot of the people. What you should do is you should put up the guidelines. These are the best practices. But if you think about it, if someone misuses this is the broker's problem, not the exchange's problem, usually. When it comes to the quality of the 3G networks, it's no problems in most countries. When we started up in '98, everyone was saying that you can't use the internet for doing trading. Everyone is using it right now. Everyone, even professionals, are using it right now. 3G networks are the place to go. 4G networks are too. You got the bandwidth, you got the stability, you got the resiliency. It's good enough for them. But it's depending on where you are.
Well, I think that's some excellent insight from the gentleman at the front. I think that, you know, for each segment of the market, whether it's cloud, whether it's network, whether it's extranet, whether it's 3G, I think they've all got their place. I can see a hand at the back there. Yes, if you could say your name and where you're from. Thank you very much for that insight there. That was great. Lovely that you shared that.
Hello, my name is Gutan Bose of Bose Consulting. We consult to exchanges around the world, both developed and emerging markets. I think I would observe, first of all, that I can't think of any exchange anywhere in the world that has leveraged the mobile payment systems infrastructure yet. For example, the M-Pesa system, which is actually very widespread in African countries, and it's experiencing massive growth. It's something that's worrying the banks quite a lot. So this is the concept of a cash purse.
Hasn't the Nairobi exchange used it? Isn't that the only one that has?
It depends what you mean by use it. For example, the opportunity is, particularly in African countries where you have a large section of the population which is unbanked. They have no access to bank accounts, so they basically just keep cash under their mattresses. So there's a huge informal economy which is not taxed. And these savings, well, in cash savings lose value because of inflation. There is no way for these people to actually access capital markets at all. However, what they do have is the ability to transfer cash using mobile payment systems. So there is the other side, which is how do you get these people linked into the securities market using the mobile payment system? And there are ways to do that. And in fact, we started a project to do that in Tanzania. And I think this is a massive opportunity to acquire hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of investors on a small scale, particularly, for example, investing in government bonds, retail government bonds. Many markets, the government has a policy for financial inclusion and will actually issue retail bonds on a small scale. And if you tie that into the mobile payment system, you actually have basically a securities market for the unbanked.
So your question for the panel is, have they used or utilised anything in the mobile payment system, and could you see it driving either your own market and or other markets, I think is the...
That's right, yes.
We are already using it as a part of our project of partnership with a mobile service provider, in a way that every user of our application can be alerted using the short messages, for example, and charged also for a particular alert. So this is the advantage. Definitely, end user can receive its it's already defined alert without having to be online actually.
Yeah, I'm more concerned regarding the readiness. Perhaps we have, in Indonesia, we have an advantage that our population average age is on the 28 years old now. So most of them is technology geeks. They know technology at least, how to move the money, how to transfer the money by the SMS, by the mobile application. So this also become an advantage. You can imagine how the elder people do the online trading. They just doing that for for monitoring through the mobile devices. But in fact, nowadays we can see that in many countries that even though now teenagers already accessing the mobile, using a lot of application to enhance their lifestyle, for example, to watch the movie, to watch the weather, to do the social network activity. Now with, for example, like in Fort Square, if they come to one place and they know that some of their friend is there, they just ping them or alert them, hey, let's meet, because so this is the behavior or the lifestyle of people nowadays that tend to use technology as a lifestyle. So in a future time, it's just a step away to do the transaction, not only banking, but maybe payment. So nowadays also a lot of electronic cash that can be paid. Like in Indonesia.
So I think it sounds like, Adikin, there's definitely a conversation to be had with the gentleman at the back. We've literally got 30 seconds left. I think this panel's been very, very lively, and I think actually we could probably go on for another hour if we carried on. There's an awful lot to cover on this. If we were, just like I said to Michael and Jan earlier on, you've got a blank piece of paper. In 30 seconds, you've got 15 seconds each. You know, for the mobile service revolution or evolution, as Jan liked to call it on our earlier panel, you know, if you're going to write one thing on that, and it's one technological advance, what do we need, or what are you going to solve in 2012?
Batteries, definitely.
Batteries.
Batteries, definitely. We have an improvement in displays as well. Improvement in the terms of processor speed. Right now, the Snapdragon mobile processors are using multiple cores, for example, and are capable of computing anything, including, for example, algo trades. But the battery is the only portion of the device that still suffers.
And Adikin?
Yeah.
15 seconds.
Okay. Of course, be ready for the mobility technology, because I believe in the coming future, more and more people will be using mobile devices to do most of their activities, not only trading.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we've heard from Tahir and Adikin about how if you've got a geographically diverse population, particularly like they have in Indonesia, how mobile's taking on. We've heard from the audience about how mobile payments might be able to drive further evolution and revolution in the mobile services. We've heard from Tahir about everything they're doing in Sarajevo, particularly from the technological standpoint, but particularly around security. And I think the three layers that you talked about there, really important takeaways for people to talk about. I'm sure in the coffee break, which will be in about 40 minutes' time, if anybody wants to speak to Tahir and Adikin, there will be, you can go and stand by the BT stand, more than welcome. You can go and meet them there and have a further conversation. But if you'd like to give them a round of applause, thank you very much.
Thank you.